Jack Ebling here with Lindsay Huddleston at Spartan Stadium after a 28-7 Penn State win over Michigan State. And Lindsay, Michigan State didn't make the big plays and didn't make enough of the small ones.
We're seeing the same thing over. It's that same movie playing over and over again, despite having a week off to hope that things could change and they get back to basics, but we didn't see that today.
Michigan State now in these 3 straight losses to Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Penn State, scored a total of 17 points. That's 5.7 per game. That is not going to get it done, and Penn State didn't do that much offensively, 302 yards today, barely outgained Michigan State, but got in the end zone 4 times, and that's forbidden territory for the Spartans.
That's true. What kind of response do you have to Mark D'Antonio's statement that they have played 3 top teams with some of the top defenses in the country as well?
Well, it's the first time that Michigan State has played the defenses coming in that were ranked 1, 2, and 3 in the country back to back to back. I don't know if any team has done that in college football. And the 4 teams Michigan State has lost to are a combined 28-4. But Michigan State is not planning to beat Tulsa, Western Michigan, Northwestern, and Indiana. That's not the goal coming in, and has come up way short in these 4 tough challenges.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We had a chance to talk to just a few players tonight.
Yeah.
Raekwon Williams talked about getting at it. He talked about players-only meeting. Do you think those have some credence?
Players-only meeting, I don't think it's a lack of caring about winning. I thought the Michigan State came out and fought hard in the second half, but execution is terrible. And on Penn State's first touchdown drive, they had 3rd and 1, and of course Michigan State jumps offside. Second touchdown drive, they have 3rd and 11, and Michigan State gets defensive holding, automatic first down on a 3rd down incompletion. Would have been off the field. Then Michigan State moves the ball down and gets a penalty. Has to move back, has to try a long field goal. There's penetration, the right side of the line, not the first time that's happened. The kick is blocked. Then there's a punt, and Michigan State backs up. Brandon Sowers inexplicably backs up instead of putting his heels on the 10-yard line, goes back to the 6 and drops it. That's a 6-yard scoring drive. So Michigan State made all the mistakes, but hey, Penn State had more than twice as many penalties as Michigan State.
They did. It was about 9-4.
Penn State could have had more points if it hadn't defeated itself. The fact now is Michigan State has another week off. It's playing 1 football game in 26 days.
Wow.
And now it comes back and facing an Illinois team that we know beat Wisconsin, the team that beat Michigan State 38-0. And then at Michigan, we know how difficult that's going to be. Then coming back for 2 games. But hey, Michigan State's going to have to win 2 just to be bowl eligible. And 6-6 isn't going to make anybody happy. 7-5 isn't going to make very many people happy. Comes down to now Michigan State righting the ship and then somehow finding a way to beat Michigan to salvage the season.
So it sounds like the rain is not going to end, huh? Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it was a horrible day, and you have to hand it to the fans who did stick around. There weren't a lot of them, but
after halftime, boy,
hard to imagine them coming back, knowing the product they were seeing, and knowing what the conditions were. It was cold and it was wet, and it wasn't getting any better.
Well, we always talked about managing expectations this season, but going back to the fact that they just came off a 3-game, experience that probably many teams in the country would not have been able to hold up to. Does that still really matter, or does it matter because we're talking about what's on the schedule and you got to play to win?
Yeah, and I don't think anyone thinks Michigan State was going to win 2 of those 3. Maybe they weren't going to win any of them. You're playing teams in the top 6 in the country every time, and Michigan State's a long way from the top 6 in any country. So right now, Michigan State has got a ton of work to do, and as if Mark D'Antonio needed another consolation present, they got a lot of guys banged up today. They had a lot of injuries today. Tried to do something different at quarterback. They put Rocky Lombardi in. I think he was 1 for 6. Couldn't get anything done. They finally put Theo Day in, and they couldn't execute the offense at all. Couldn't even get a simple handoff done. So they put Lewerke back in the game, but He missed a lot of receivers,
right?
And when he threw it to them, they didn't catch it. That's a bad combination.
Do you think that original switch was somewhat of an indictment on the work key?
No, he said, sometimes you just need to see if the other guy can do it. Sometimes it's not your day, but we've had a lot of days like this now. We're getting to the point that Michigan State is going to have to find some answers, and it's looking under every rock, but there aren't a lot of them out there, and going to have to be much better than this in 2 weeks, even here, if they plan to beat the Illini. That would be a devastating loss.
Would there be a better feeling among Spartan Nation if the expectations weren't as high as what they are right now?
Well, I don't think the expectations here were as high as they are some places. Certainly weren't as high as they are in Ann Arbor.
True. Right.
But I think a lot of people looked at this team ever since 2017 with so many sophomores, and they said, okay, 2019 is going to be the year.
Right.
It isn't just that they're 4-4, Lindsay. It's the way they have looked in getting to 4-4.
Sure.
They have made so many errors, unforced errors, errors that will get you beat. You can't drop a punt at your own 6-yard line.
No.
You can't have field goals blocked. Not going to make a lot of those anyway lately, but if you're going to have that happen, you've got big problems, and Michigan State right now has just about every problem imaginable.
Right. Well, on the lighter side, last night we got to experience some basketball madness, that is, over at the Breslin Center. You think it's going to be a tale of two cities here with the football program and the basketball program?
Well, the football program has 4 games to play, and see how they do in those 4 games. Right now, it's beyond disappointing, but the basketball team is ranked number 1 in the country. That's the first time that has happened for Michigan State, number 1 in preseason, and had a lot bigger crowd over at Breslin Center than they had in the second half of the game here at Spartan Stadium.
It wasn't raining inside either.
No, it wasn't raining, and I understand that. Sitting up there in a dry, warm press box, it's easy to say, where'd all the fans go? Well, they went somewhere smart. That's where they went.
Right.
So Michigan State has a lot of work to do in football and a great opportunity in basketball. Tuesday night, they get Albion here, Team Winston in action.
Affair.
Yeah, and we're going to have press pass later tomorrow night. It'll be Tom Crawford, Rico Beard, Matt Charbonneau, and we'll go on 1 hour after Fox's baseball coverage signs off. We don't know how long that's going to be. If it's a 12-inning game, we'll go on 1 hour after they're done. So,
Jack, you couldn't do anything about the World Series?
No, they didn't ask me about that. I wanted to make it an afternoon game.
Right.
I was actually hoping for a sweep, so the thing would end tonight. But we're going to see what happens now. Houston, some new life, and trailing 2-1, and that game's coming on momentarily.
If you had to predict, what would you say?
Oh, I don't know. I think that Houston's a better team, but in a baseball in a short series, you're as good as your next starting pitcher.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Jack Ebling here for Lindsay Huddleston from Spartan Stadium. We'll be back with you tomorrow night on Press Pass, then Tuesday from Breslin Center, and then back here next Saturday for a week from Saturday for Michigan State, Illinois, and see if the Spartans can get healthy. We'll see you then.
Take care.